Well, Agency Enlightened is here, ladies and gents. I hope you enjoy this module as much as I enjoyed making it for you and delivering it to you today for free. Oh my God, for free from my heart and from the heart of all of humanity. Enjoy and know that I am no longer in business. I've sold pretty much all my equity in Better AMS. I'm now an inactive partner who holds a minor stake, and that is official, signed on the dot. Wow, 7 or 8 years of running and that thing and starting it, and I am out, ladies and gents. It feels fantastic, and I pray that all of you who are going on this journey are served well by the content in Agency Enlightened, and that it helps you reach a point where you have financial freedom and that you can live in the middle of the jungle and hold this tripod thingy with a straw hat and talk about whatever you want to talk about, okay? So enjoy this module, and know also that there's a link in the description for accessing the resources and the action items that you need to, complete whatever the module is. It's all there, it's all free. And know that if you want to support the nonprofit that I'm starting called Satori, you can go in the link in the description and you'll be able to opt in to be notified when the Satori podcast goes live, which is going to be probably in a matter of 2 or 3 months or something like this. Real quick, before the module begins, you can just fast forward and skip this intro because it's going to be on the every single module intro if you don't want to know this. But Satori is a nonprofit dedicated or devoted to helping mankind realize the self by sharing God's word. So that's what I want to do, and that seems to be where all my energy is going these days. If that sounds interesting to you, you can go and check it out and drop your little email in the landing page thing, okay? Thank Jesus, Krishna, Buddha, Mary, and Mother Teresa, and all the great sages and avatars that walked on this earth. May it be so that all of what is spoken out of Satori is heard and understood by all of mankind, and that it is felt as the gift that it is from my heart, okay? Mwah! I love you all very much.
What's up, everyone? My name is Destiny Washawn, and I am covering this next section of Agency Enlightened, which is the inbound system. So, quick backstory on why I'm recording this module is because I have primarily been managing this system within Better AMS. The inbound system is what really helped us scale from around $30,000 a month to $130,000, and it's one of the most minimal viable work and product systems you could run to really attract your ideal clients. And we're going to be diving into why it's such a low cost system as we go, but wanted to give you a little bit of backstory there. So with the inbound system, we're going to cover a few things. One of those is your digital footprint. We're going to also cover your Dream 100, what content looks like and how to curate it, and then how you can piece all of these together to really build out a strong inbound funnel. So first and foremost, your digital footprint. Put simply, if somebody searches your name or your brand name on the internet, what comes up, what does it look like, and how is your brand or your personal brand being portrayed online? So what we really define digital footprint is how your brand's online presence is. It's the foundation for attracting your ideal clients and your partnerships. And as you know, when you're really beginning to start to scale an agency, people are going to do their due diligence. They're going to search for your brand, they're going to search your name, and they need to make sure you have a strong online presence. So that is why your digital footprint is so important. Now, when we're looking at building your digital footprint, one thing to note is you have your ideal clients and you have your ideal partners. Both of those are going to be very interested in how you portray yourself. Your clients are going to be the ones who are going to pay for your services, so you're going to be attracting them through your social and your content. And then your partners are going to be the influencers in the space who maybe you share a similar audience with. Maybe they're competitors, or they're people who have a e-commerce podcast or a webinar or blog. You really need to make sure you're building a relationship with them as well, because there's a lot of opportunity to kind of cross-sell across both of your audiences. So keep that in mind as we're looking at identifying who we're trying to attract. It's both ideal clients and ideal partners. Now, some of the core components of your digital footprint is the fact that they drive brand legitimacy. So your personal LinkedIn profile, your Facebook profile, your social media pages, your Trustpilot reviews, all of these build legitimacy of your brand. So that way, again, when someone searches for you online, they see that you are a real company providing a legit service. All of that will help increase your conversion rate at the end. So these elements determine the probability of someone working with you or referring someone. And again, why we're starting with this system is it's really easy and can pretty much be free. It just takes a lot of time to invest in. So the three major elements of your digital footprint that we're going to talk about today: your social profiles, your content, and your website. And one thing that I'll note is your content, your profiles, and your website do influence your searchability. So if anyone goes to Google and they search your name or your brand, your content will help influence where you're showing up within search. Now, your social profiles are one of the easiest places you can start. Whether it be LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook, all of them are a good place to make sure you're building out your brand. Again, all of these places are free as well. So we have a module at the end of this segment where we're going to walk through how you can improve your social media profiles. A few things that we recommend is how you diversify your content on Facebook, how you separate out your friend list, as well as how you identify where your ideal clients are hanging out. So for us, when we were getting started in the industry, a lot of our ideal clients were hanging out on Facebook in the Facebook groups for Amazon advertising, Helium 10. There were all these different groups that Taylor was able to connect with on Facebook. Now, when I started taking over our kind of connections and our content, I found a lot of our brands on LinkedIn. So I really focused on building out our LinkedIn presence, as well as making sure, again, our profiles were incredibly clean. Now, we did not hire any professional designers. We did not, hire any copywriters. None of that happened in the very beginning. What we focused on was, clean and simple profile picture, very simple aesthetic, background, everything incredibly basic, just to make sure that if anyone searched our name, we looked legitimate. No crazy investment upfront needed. Now, once we had our social profiles created, we could really start focusing on our content. And what our content helped was improving our inbound leads per year. So as you can see here, here's some of the different segments that we really hit hard. LinkedIn was a great opportunity for us. You can see our Facebook post, and then again, our searchability due to that. You can immediately see all of the videos we've put out, our LinkedIn, betterams.com. All of this improves our legitimacy as a brand, because if anyone searches our names, they can see we are thought leaders in this space. And then they can also see, hey, yes, within Google, they're really easy to find. So once our social profiles were set up, we started creating content. Once we started creating content, we noticed that our inbound leads started increasing. So as you can see here, 2019 was when we really started realizing that this was a system that could be managed. I came in around that time and started connecting pretty relentlessly with our ideal audience, and our content pushed people to our website. So we weren't doing anything else to drive external traffic, ads, nothing like that. We were just posting relentlessly and trying to connect with the right partners in the space to cross-promote our audiences and then driving them to our website. So our website's a whole different topic here, because as you can see, our version 1 was a glorified landing page. It was very cheap. Again, we're focusing on very low cost strategies for building out your inbound. And what we did is we, worked with ClickFunnels and built a really minimal viable product that allowed people to land on our website and then book a strategy session. This allowed us to reach 25,000 in MRR. Now, a lot of people, especially the aesthetic, the design, the people who want a really beautiful website will see this and probably shake their head. And in all honesty, that does make sense. But what's beautiful about an inbound system is you do the selling before they ever hit your website, right? They follow your content online. They see how you engage with your ideal clients. You've really built a relationship, so that way when they land on your website, they're already wanting to book a call. When you drive cold traffic, you need to have a nice professional website because your website has to do the selling for you. But ideally with an inbound system, you're doing a lot of the selling before they ever hit your website, which is why we were able to still convert incredibly well with this glorified landing page. Now, once we hit 25,000 MRR, we realized our audience was growing, so we needed to get a little bit more clear on what we do. We help brands on Amazon scale with better advertising. Now we have a full free audit system that kind of leads them through a funnel. A little bit more details on who we are, because a lot of our brand was built through our personal brands. Taylor and I were both very well connected in this space, so Taylor Destiny was more synonymous with Amazon advertising than Better AMS was. So we added some of these features to our website, a little bit scrappy, a little bit more detailed, and this allowed us to reach 55,000 MRR. Now, once we got to this point, we realized we did need to be a little bit more mature. So one of the main reasons why is we started working with a lot larger brands, and we realized larger brands need that legitimacy. They want to see you have a nice aesthetic website, even though a lot of it is for show, and there's a lot of beautiful websites out there who have terrible services. We got that feedback a few times, so we decided, hey, we're making enough money per month to finally make a bigger investment in our website. So what we did was hired a designer, actually built out a very professional website. We focused on having some brand testimonials on there. We have a blog where we can write content, and then we just cleaned up our funnel. Now, the reason websites at the end of this section is because the website was not the reason we were able to get to 115,000 MRR. The website, again, was just a landing page for booking calls. All of our selling was done before someone landed on Better AMS. Up until this point, right? We were posting a ton of content, partnering with the right people. They were very familiar with who we are, and then they landed on the website. So that's to say your investments don't need to be made until later on when you're focusing on inbound, because this truly does need to be a landing page. Now, once we started doing a lot of exchanges with content and blogging and podcasting and webinars, we realized that our search volume was increasing. So we did need to have a website optimized to help conversion, because our audience wasn't going to be as warm. So that is where we got V3, which is a much more professional website. Now, there's always tremendous room for improvement, so this is nowhere near where we want to be. We have some ideas for how we can really push some of the blogging aspects, some of our other services, but that's probably going to be something a little bit further down the road when we maybe turn on external ads and we're driving an even colder audience. So that is basically your digital footprint, which put simply is your inbound leads and a converting website, which is going to equal MRR growth. And how do you drive inbound leads? Well, through amazing content, amazing social presence, and then a converting website that allows someone to simply book a call. As you can see, this is running strictly inbound system. We're able to scale from around 50,000 a month when I initially started in 2019 to where we're at now, which is even past this at 135,000 a month. So all of that through posting on social, which is really cool. Now, at the very end of this segment, we'll have some action items that'll help guide you through small things like setting up your social profile, how you build out a Dream 100 list, which we're about to get into, and just other elements of your digital footprint. All of that will be at the end. Now, second step that I want to talk about is your Dream 100. Now, when we really started considering scaling Better AMS, we did this in a reverse order. We focused on content explicitly, posted anywhere, everywhere, connected with everyone, and then realized, hey, there's a much better way to do this, and that is with a Dream 100 list. So we're putting this in the appropriate order for you, so hopefully you can run things in a much more organized fashion. But the concept of a Dream 100 is this. One day, I was relentlessly adding people on LinkedIn and posting a ton of content, and I had the realization that it doesn't matter if I'm the Picasso of the art world or if I'm the absolute best content writer in the world. None of that matters if I don't have an audience. And it seems really simple saying it like this, but what I was doing was I was waking up and posting great content, but I didn't have a fantastic engagement. I wasn't getting my content in front of the right people. So what this realization led us to is discovering that this is a defined strategy called the Dream 100. And the whole concept of the Dream 100 is to take someone from, hey, I've never heard of this brand, all the way down to, I am working with this brand. And then beyond that, ideally, I love this brand. So the Dream 100 is just a general marketing campaign. But what it allows you to do is get a lot more precise with your marketing. So the Dream 100 marketing strategy is really what allowed us to more than double across several years. In the beginning, we were running an unconscious Dream 100 from 2016 to 2017. Or like I said, we were posting a ton of content, but we weren't posting it necessarily in front of the right people. In 2018, we're doing a decent amount, but we're kind of struggling with scale. In 2019, 2020, we get really precise and start adding the right people. And then in 2020, 2021, it really starts to take off. And then we realize, oh, we have a whole nother set of problems. It's how the heck do you hire people quick enough? So this is the strategy that has 100% allowed us to get to where we are today. Again, no external ads. We are not putting money into Facebook ads. We're not running YouTube ads, none of that. We are strictly posting content and then posting content to a Dream 100 list. Now, what is the Dream 100? So the creator was Chet Holmes. He released this strategy in the book, The Ultimate Sales Machine. Charlie Munger called him the America's greatest sales and marketing executive. Basically, the concept is what I mentioned, building a really strong list of your ideal clients. And Chet's actual concept was that there is always going to be less ideal clients than there are non-ideal ones. So if you're segmenting a list of, hey, here's all the ideal people I want to work with, and here's the ones I don't want to work with, then it's going to be a lot cheaper and easier than trying to market to anyone and everyone. So to kind of summarize, taking this concept, what you're basically doing is building a list and database of all your top clients and partners, and then finding a way to develop and build a relationship with them. Rather than adding anyone and everyone or running ads to a watered down list that you think is ideal, you're really zeroing in on the people that matter most and the people you want to work with most. One thing I'll note is you'll see ICP mentioned a few times throughout. This is your ideal customer profile. I typically say ideal client because that's what we typically refer to. So kind of wanted to note that. Now, what is the story in action? So Charlie hires Chet and puts him in charge of increasing ad sales for one of his magazines. Chet identifies that there are 2,200 potential advertisers. But this is the key part. Only 167 make up 95% of all ad spots. So if you're looking at this list, you could run a really broad marketing strategy towards 2,000 people and, shotgun approach, hope some of it closes. Or you can zero in on the 167 people and go really aggressive on marketing them. This was the goal. Charlie's magazine was 15 at the time and had none of these 167 advertisers. Chet comes in, gets laser focused on the strategy, really only wants to target the 167 advertisers, and then, he signed 30 of them in the first year, 30 in the second year, and the remaining in the third year, resulting in doubling the ad revenue of this magazine 3 years straight. So again, this story is very, very similar to what we did at Better AMS. And it's really simple once you lay it out, but it's like, hey, let's identify the core people we want to work with and only target them. Now, again, Better AMS has been using the Dream 100 since its inception, and we're going to go through the history of Better AMS from 0 to 135,000 MRR. One thing to note, in the very beginning, we did have an outbound marketing strategy. We're not going to attribute the later growth to that, and we won't be mentioning the strategy here. So, April 2016, Better AMS is born. It was technically named Painless PPC at the time. Taylor sits down and identifies that the majority of our ideal clients are on Facebook groups. He starts adding our ideal Facebook groups. He starts engaging in the groups as well as connecting with the right people and providing valuable content. After a couple of weeks, one person actually reached out to Taylor and asked him to speak on his podcast. At the time, we now know Dave, the podcast owner, is a Dream 100 partner. So this is perfect opportunity, exactly what you want out of your content. Now, again, Taylor didn't know about the Dream 100 strategy, which is why we're calling this a shotgun approach. It's going a lot more scattered. He's adding a ton of groups and just connecting with anyone who speaks the Amazon PPC language. Now, Taylor's incredibly nervous about speaking on this podcast, a ton of imposter syndrome, but this is an amazing opportunity. So he hops on, he speaks about the strategies, and he does well. Even better, a few days later, Taylor gets a message from an ideal prospect saying he liked the interview and wants to see if we can help him with ads. So this is, 100% success rate at this point, which is pretty strong. That phone call turns into our first client, and we sign him at $4,000 a month in 2016. So through the rest of 2016, Taylor begins engaging and posting a lot more consistently. He signs a few more clients, and then he closes off 2016 with $72,000 in revenue and around $8,000 in MRR. Now, as you can see, 6 months after that, numbers kind of fell flat, but then we had another Dream 100 partner reach out to Taylor and ask him to speak on a podcast, all through Taylor's Facebook content again. After speaking on this podcast, Better AMS received a flurry of leads, which resulted in us tripling MRR from 7,000 to 18,000. This is when we start understanding a really strong correlation between Dream 100. We realize that there are certain partners in the space that share a very similar audience and that can help us drive an increase in sales and just general following. So we're still not clear on the strategy, but we see that partnering with the right people helps us grow our sales. At this time, Taylor decides to go all in on speaking. He speaks at multiple conferences, does a lot of webinars, YouTube, podcasting. With this, we were able to nearly double in 2016 from 18,000 to 34,000 in MRR. Now, here's where things get a little bit fun. In 2018, Q1, I joined Better AMS. Q2, Taylor leaves Better AMS. Which, looking back and reading it this way, it was a very scary moment. But all in all, one of the best things that I think we could have done for our separate personality types and learning how to work together, because Taylor hands off everything advertising marketing he's ever learned in his life, sends me a bunch of books. He's like, hey, figure it out, see what we can do. He, decided to leave to really focus on some other aspects of his personal development. He wasn't super happy with the agency route because it's a lot of time and it takes a lot of effort to manage people. So, Taylor goes one way, I go the other, and the agency starts to die. 6 months after I get onboarded, we hit $12,000 a month, which is a really, really scary thing when you are doing $34,000 while you're hired. But it's the eye opener I needed because I started relentlessly connecting with people all across Facebook and LinkedIn. In case you're curious at just how relentless this was, this is what my connections looked like, pulled directly from my LinkedIn profile. So beginning of 2019, every spare moment I had in my day, I would go on to Amazon, look for amazing brands that I dreamed about working with, and then I would find them on LinkedIn and connect with them nonstop. I would also do the same for Facebook. I would spend all of my time connecting with the right people because, again, it doesn't matter how good my content is if the right people aren't seeing it. Now, one other thing I did as well is I would connect with every single competitor in the space. It didn't matter if they were direct competitors, if they were doing similar things to me. I would connect with them because I had a realization that the people who are going to engage with my content the most are probably the ones who need to understand my content. So if I'm speaking very detailed about Amazon advertising strategy, I also need to connect with like-minded people because they're going to like my posts, which is going to increase my engagement, which is going to increase my reach to all of the brands that I wanted to work with. So as you can see here, all my free time went to connecting with people, which then led me to have the opportunity to speak on quite a few different podcasts, different webinars. As you can see here, Danny actually reached out to me to speak on a podcast from the United Kingdom. That was a real amazing catalyst in building my connections in the space. And then on Facebook, I was able to build out segmented business list for all of my content as well. All of these things put together allowed us to really continue to scale. So again, we hit that $12,000 a month low point. I started continuously posting and connecting with people. And then we were able to hit the $100,000 a month mark, which has been really amazing. Now, all of this, again, has been the primary driver of growth. It allowed us to get from 30,000 to now 135,000. And put really simply, it's all about phase one, figuring out who your ideal clients are, building out a database and connecting with those ideal clients, being relentless about posting content, and then understanding a few principles, which we're going to dive into towards the end of this. But basically, keeping a long-term strategy, building authentic relationships, and then don't propose before the first date. Again, this is not a short-term strategy. So how do you actually implement this marketing strategy? Now, moving past concepts, we're going to talk about the system components for the Dream 100. So again, here's the goal: to take someone who's never heard of your brand before and bring them all the way to closing the deal, working with you, and pushing them to be a brand advocate. That is the goal of this system. How do you do it? Start with your digital footprint, build your social presence, post content, have a converting website. Now, after you build out the basics of your digital footprint, something that's important is to sit down and understand who your ideal customer profile is. So this is something that we looked at. We built our customer profile. So at Better AMS, we want to work with people who want to increase their sales and control their ACOS. We have their light demographics, but the key areas of focus is their growth opportunities, their objectives, their KPIs. We want to focus on their challenges, frustrations, and then one of my favorite parts about this ideal customer profile is ways to find them. So if you look over to the right, you'll see LinkedIn, Facebook, company about us page, Amazon, Helium 10, Jungle Scout. So we use all these tools to look for our brands. Now we know that they're on LinkedIn, which means I need to connect with them. So that way they can then see me as a thought leader in the space and then engage with my content. So this ideal customer profile is super important for two reasons. One, you need to identify your Dream 100 and who belongs there. Who are the ideal customers that need to be on that list of 100, 200 people that you want to work with? And then where do you find them? How can you post content that is in their best interest? Where will they find you? Your, ICP location may be on YouTube. Maybe you find that the majority of your customers like to search on YouTube. That means you need to be posting more content there. Or maybe you find them on Instagram. You're really into health and wellness or Instagram influencers. Then you need to connect with influencers and cross-sell to that demographic. But all this to say, if you don't know your ideal customer profile, you can't break down the small pieces of building your digital footprint to attract your ideal customer profile. Now, getting into the nitty-gritty, once you've built your ideal customer profile, you can build an exact system for scraping your database to build your Dream 100. Now, again, at the end of this module, you'll have some homework, and Taylor will have a full video on how we built this system and outsourced it so that we have an evergreen list of brands we want to work with. Now, in Amazon, it's probably going to be a little bit faster growing than some of the other industries because there are hundreds of thousands of brands entering on Amazon a month. But again, we sat down, identified our ideal client. We looked at the revenue they're doing, their size, what their brand looks like on Amazon, defined all of that. And then we utilize virtual assistants to go out and look on LinkedIn relentlessly for our brands. We then take that brand and we also have an automation for connecting with all of those brands. So I am continuously able to grow my network in a way that allows my content to be seen by our lead list or our Dream 100 database. Once we have that list and we're continuously, engaging with the right brands, that makes all of our content is getting more visibility. And something you'll see here is our full team's actually posting. So we have Adam posting content to the exact same list as me. We have G posting content to the exact same list as Adam. We have Nio pushing content on YouTube. What this allows us to do is, one, drive brand legitimacy, because if people don't resonate with my content, they may resonate with Adam's. And if that same audience is seeing both of our content, it's really going to perpetuate the size of our company and, the hold we have in the industry with content, because subconsciously they're seeing better AMS everywhere. So again, identify that ideal client, start scraping and collecting a list and connecting with that ideal client, and then post relentlessly so your ideal client is constantly seeing your content and really subconsciously starting to realize that, hey, they need to work with you. Again, system components. 1, build out your minimal viable digital footprint, absolutely free, just takes time. 2, identify the people you want to work with and where to find them. 3, turn that into an outsourced automation so you're not spending a ton of time doing it. 4, post content and connect with all of those people. One thing that we didn't really hit on too hard here, but is a focus, is when we have this lead database. Right now, this is focusing on brands we want to work with. We do the exact same thing with partners we want to work with as well. I scrape all of the podcasts I want to speak on. I reach out to all the podcasts I've already spoken on. Same thing with webinars and blogs. And we connect and ask for referrals in the space. That way we can continue to grow that Dream 100 partner database. And our whole team will now have a strong list of people where they can speak as well. So that's a good way to cross-sell your audience. You can see in the middle here, we recently did a Helium 10 blog. So we're able to share that audience. Helium 10 gets value because I share their blog to all of my network. I get value because my blog's now being shared with the whole Helium 10 audience. So keep that in mind. Both brands and partners get value from this system. Now, if we're looking at it from the stages of the funnel, again, sourcing clients and partners. I've never heard of this brand. Connecting with them on social. Oh, I think I've heard of this brand. I know them from somewhere. They enter your farm of content. They're like, oh, that's the brand I keep hearing about. They go to your website, DM you, ask a question, or engage with your content. I've heard of this brand. And then they became a client or a partner, which means they want to work with you. How long does it take for someone to go from never heard of you to being a client or partner? I would say around 3 to 6 months is average. We've seen faster or slower depending on the offer or the market. We've made small tweaks to begin testing this, but in general, around 3 to 6 months. Quality and consistency of content determines the speed. So the more frequently they're seeing your stuff and engaging with your content, the likelihood of them converting. We've had many scenarios within 24 hours of connecting, someone's already interested in us. So they've sent me a message immediately after, oh, you run Amazon ads? Can you tell me more about that? We're actually looking for that, which is funny because we know that they're looking for that service because we were the ones who scraped them as a brand, right? So they're already kind of lukewarm. In the exact opposite scenario, we've actually had people want to work with us after 2 years of seeing our content. This can be a really cool opportunity because it means we are able to build a relationship and play the long game. Sometimes companies just aren't ready. Maybe they are working with another agency and their contract finally ends after 2 years and then they want to work with you. Or something else that's really fun to watch in the e-commerce industry is careers are shifting so quickly. We have had multiple people who have personally followed us on LinkedIn, ended up getting a new job, and then signing us as a brand at their new job. So they weren't able to maybe push through the approval of working with us as an agency at one company, and then they leave companies, and then they're able to hire us. So that's why we're really looking for an authentic long-term approach. When I'm running an inbound strategy, there's a small principle I like to focus on, and it doesn't matter if I close one deal if I piss off 99 others. And that's because I truly want to value every connection and build a long-term relationship, because we've seen after 2 years, someone may close. But if I would have maybe cold called or cold messaged that person within 7 days and then made them mad, they would have never came back to us. So I truly like to lead with value and authenticity for this reason. Now, I'm going to talk a little bit more about some of the mental models that go into building this Dream 100 digital footprint kind of philosophy. 1, don't propose on the first date. All of the markets are currently flooded with people cold emailing. Do you need my service? I get it all the time on LinkedIn DMs of, how can I help you? We should hop on a call. I think that there's mutually beneficial things that we can do together. I have actually stopped connecting with people who send me a DM anywhere around that because it drives me insane. So we've decided to do the opposite. We rarely do any cold emailing unless it's authentic relationship building of, hey, I bought your product and I love it. Anything like that we encourage because it's relationship building, not focused on closing. In the early stages of relationship building, expect nothing and give as much value as possible. This can be really, really hard, especially if you have any form of scarcity mindset, but it will pay dividends in the long term, which bring us to the last point. Think long term. Taking someone from never heard of you to working with you takes time. And then getting them to the stage of loving you and being a brand advocate can take even longer, which should be the goal. Again, I try not to ever make anyone mad in the early stages of looking for partners or looking for brands, because I truly want to invest in the long-term aspects of relationship building. Number 2, give the most and best value for free in your content. This one can be really hard for people to overcome. They don't want to give away this secret sauce that makes them successful. But something small that I've learned is I can tell someone exactly how we do something from A to Z, and they'll still want my service. 1, because their time's valuable. They don't want to take the steps to go from A to Z. And 2, it's sometimes not that easy. Even if you tell someone exactly how to do something, they may not do it, because everything we do as agency owners can be contextual. So I feel very, very comfortable being very transparent in my content. I will rarely ever host a webinar with something like, 20 steps to get you to 10 million. Click here for this lead magnet. And then take them through a scammy funnel and then only tell them 3 terrible tips. If I'm going to do that, I might as well post it for free to get maximum engagement, maximum visibility. That's always been my focus. And that's how we've gained a lot of authority as well, is by being really, really transparent in this space. That way it's not a, smoke and mirrors. I'm actually the thought leader because they can see it through my content and the engagement and the people I'm attracting. Some of our partners and clients are some of the best in the space. And when people associate my name with those people, it just improves my legitimacy. It also helps you attract better talent because, again, brand legitimacy is very important. Last but not least, developing the utmost abundance mindset. This will allow you to post legendary content, as mentioned, that maybe your competitors are too scared to share. It'll attract the largest platforms and allow you to enjoy the journey far more than someone with a scarcity mindset. Another thing that this relates to is, again, just outreach. Sometimes people will aggressively reach out, try to close the deal immediately because they're running from a scarcity mindset. They need the money now. They need to close the deal now. But we try to run with an abundance mindset and that we're focusing on the long term. So we may not reach out if it's not the right time. We want to wait till we build an authentic relationship and know that abundance will come later on when they decide to close the deal with us. I believe this also increases our lifetime value as an agency because people who do work with us are the ideal clients. They're not people that we forced into a close and then they're going to turn over in 3 to 4 months when they're not happy with our service. So focus on abundance mindset. Oh, there's one more. Do things that don't scale. So this one was really hard for us to understand in the beginning. I am very much a relationship builder. Taylor is very much an operational systems master. So a lot of what he does is make everything I'm already doing 20 times more efficient. But one thing we realized was sometimes things just don't scale. And one of those things is building authentic relationships. So What I would do is people would comment on my post asking a question. I would take the time to send them a 5-minute Loom video. It didn't matter who they were. I just wanted to, again, build that relationship because I knew that if that one person shared a post of mine or engaged a little bit more frequently, my audience would grow 5 to 10x. So we focus on giving as much free value as possible. We would do small things like sending custom gifts to people, even if we didn't work with them. We just knew that they're a valuable partner in the space. Handwritten letters, things of those matter go a long way. And I'm going to give an example. One time I had a virtual assistant reach out to me and ask me a question on how he could improve the performance of the brand he was working with. I took the time to send a 10-minute response showing them exactly the next steps I would take to improve the brand. Well, 2 months later, he reaches out to me and says, "Hey, Destiny, I want to introduce you to the brand I'm currently getting paid to manage because I think you can do a better job of managing than me." He then referred me to the brand. We ran an audit on the account. They were a very large 7-figure brand. We closed the deal. We sent the virtual assistant a referral check because he literally was sacrificing his income to refer this brand to me. But it was one of the most amazing lessons in just abundance. Most people would never take the time to answer a question to a virtual assistant, and I did, and it happened to send us a client later on down the road. So super, super grateful for situations like that. It does take a lot of time. You know, you're going to be balancing DMs and questions across every single audience. So I would make sure that whoever you have pushing a lot of content in your agency loves doing it. But as you'll see at the end of the module, Taylor will also give you a lot of resources in order to make things like this more scalable. He'll teach you how to build LinkedIn automations, how to consolidate your content and things like that. But again, authenticity, relationship building goes a very, very long way. So kind of to end this aspect of the segment, we're going to dive into content and kind of some content recommendations. This is really going to be dependent on your style, so we're not going to give a lot of very specifics, but we're going to talk about what we did and some of the philosophies we focused on. First, find your audience. Who's likely to engage? Where do they hang out? Stay connected, join the groups, add value, connect with people. If you're just creeping and watching everyone's responses and then adding them on Facebook and trying to DM them personally, that's probably not going to go very far. You really have to engage in a public manner. People don't trust people who try to DM them. They think that you're trying to sell them something if you DM them immediately. Start posting. Don't overthink it. Just start posting valuable content. I say this because I was scared to death to post. In high school, I was terrible at grammar and I got made fun of in front of the whole class for an essay I wrote. So when Taylor told me I needed to start posting on social media, I had an absolute moment of, I can't do this. And it's why I started posting on LinkedIn. It's because I was scared to post on Facebook where I had a audience that would know who I was. I was scared to be vulnerable on that platform. So I started posting on LinkedIn, which, you know, thankfully I did because it's our number one platform to this day. But do not overthink it like I did. It does not matter if you get 1 like or 5 likes or 300 likes. It will get very strong engagement over time and you'll start building your audience. So just start posting. Engage and be authentic. One of the best ways to build longer term relationships is to make sure you're engaging. So I don't always post content that is direct to the point or valuable in terms of A to Z. Sometimes I'll ask questions. Hey, what is your thoughts on this? What are your opinions on this? That's allowed me to connect with my ideal partners a little bit better because it positions myself as someone who's interested in learning more, not necessarily a thought leader. And when you're in that position, people are more willing to reach out because they're not directly competing with your content. Be consistent. You have to keep connecting and posting. I think it took 2 years before I started getting consistently more than 30 likes on a post on LinkedIn. So definitely keep pushing. One thing we also started noticing, we started correlating our inbound leads with where they connected with us on LinkedIn through Sales Navigator. And we found that multiple people would reach out who had never liked a post before. They found us from LinkedIn, they saw our content, but they never once liked a post. And that's a really, really cool call out, because what it means is that even if we don't get any likes, any engagement, there's a high opportunity for people to still see your content. So keep that in mind. Why make content? Again, warms up the prospect to you, builds trust with the prospect. It makes the sales cycle 90 times easier. If someone's been following me for 2 years, my sales cycle basically looks like, what's your price? And then I tell them, because they know we're a thought leader. They know we know our stuff and we're managing well. They'll ask a few questions and that's pretty much it. Connecting with partners, so much more valuable than just posting for the purpose of signing brands. Gives you a deeper understanding of your service. This is a great call out. If you don't know what content to write, you need to figure out what the most biggest questions that your audience is asking, what your brand's problems are, and then write content related to that. Great way to find talent. Our first 30% of our hires were all through our LinkedIn audience because they had been following us and engaging with our content. And acquisition opportunities. Again, connecting with people is so much more than just signing deals. It's speaking at events. It's, partnering on projects. When people see you as a thought leader, they want to do business with you, whether it's as your service or something bigger. You'll never know till you start posting. Where to distribute, wherever your clients, partners are hanging out. Webinars, emails, podcasts, speaking engagements, social media, blogging, groups. That list can be exponential, which is why it's so important to really know where your focus is and then hit that hard. For us, LinkedIn, Facebook, podcast, webinars, YouTube. That's probably my order of importance right now. I'm expecting that to change and shift over the years, which is why we want to keep a really strong pulse on all of them. But there's only so many hours in the day, so figure out what's best for you. Consistency. Without consistency, content will not work, in all honesty. You have to truly visualize it like a farm. You're planting seeds, you're watering those seeds, and then hoping you get a product. Missing content for a month, or even I've found, 2.5 weeks can really hurt that process because someone else is probably out there posting content and getting in front of your ideal client's social feed. So putting all of this together, we have the kind of finalized Agency Enlightened inbound marketing setup document, which is going to talk about your social profile first. Again, cheap, free, easy. We're going to dive into a few different things. So I have how to set up your inbound marketing system, social profile, Dream 100 database. This is the order you should go in. Again, I ran a little bit different when I was trying to figure out this system when we just started. But I talk about segmenting your list on Facebook, which I think is pretty valuable. Figuring out your LinkedIn profile, background, all of those aspects. We also, again, dive into the Dream 100 database and sourcing system. So I didn't talk too much about this because it's a very SOP'd system where Taylor talks about how you identify your client, teach a VA to source that client, and then build out softwares to help you connect with these people. So even though I never did this, we have been able to extract all of my leads from all of the socials we utilize, build it out into a system that we can then incorporate for every new team member's social profiles. So we're able to upload my list of followers and send them out across all of our team, which again allows for our whole team to also promote content to the same audience. So if they were interested in seeing one of our posts, they may be interested in seeing all 5 of our team members' posts, things like that. That's a very, very strong system. And then we also dive into recruiting, hiring, and training for that VA. How you can leverage automations. Noted, I wasn't a big fan of this in the beginning, but our whole team has been able to run it. And then scrolling down to creating content, also have a training video for specifically creating content where we dive in a little bit deeper on content ideas, writing content frequency, things like that. So action items afterwards, we're going to talk about social profile setup, getting your Dream 100 database going, hiring, training a VA. Some of those are optional. Again, I went strictly solo. I had more free time, I think, than I should have. And I just focused on connecting with people and then creating content. So this is a really big module which will help piece all of this together. But to finish this out, inbound system setup is a very important action item. It's going to take you through every small aspect that we just talked about in the appropriate order. And let's get to work. Let us know if you have any questions. If you want to post them in the group, I can hop on and answer anything specifically around, thoughts I had, how I posted content, all the small things that I've seen in the industry I can talk to as well. So let us know in the group, or feel free to join the call. Taylor can speak to almost everything I've done, but if I need to be on there specifically, let me know, and hopefully we can get everything answered for you. But thank you all so much for joining and listening in, and let us know if you have any questions. See ya.